is white. Black is white. White is black. Always changing, rearranging. White is black. Black is white. Always changing, rearranging. It's just another glitter bomb in my mind. It fuses another glitter bomb today. It's just another glitter bomb. My memory refuses another glitter bomb today. My glitter bomb. My glitter bomb today. My glitter bomb today. My glitter bomb.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio, everybody. That was Glitter Bomb, and that is one of the latest singles from the new album, The Furies Again, or is it again, depending on what country you're in. The Furies Again, and so happy to have Jeff Wolfe back on the show, as well as Dave Lewty joining us. And you can go to thefuriesband.com. That's F-U-R-Y-S, thefuriesband.com to keep up with them. But I'm going to say welcome back, Jeff. How are you?
Thanks so much. I'm doing fine. Thanks. Everything's copacetic, as they say.
Oh, that's a big word. That's a big word for right now, for me. Anyway, but that's good. It's a good word. But I want to welcome Dave on the show. It's the first time you've been on. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Good. All good. I'll try not to use too many big words. I'll leave that for Jeff. I think he's just showing off.
Well, I think, big words and glitter bomb go like, that's just not, it's not, no. Listen, but Glitter Bomb, I love that song. And I know, Dave, before we started recording, I was saying to you, and I know you're from England, I'm going, God, this music just doesn't, the Furies have never sounded American to me, really, ever. Like, it just kind of, when I, lived in Africa most of my life as a teen and a kid, and lived in England for a short spell right at the height of the punk era. And then coming to America, it was different. Yet, Jeff, you've been in the States all this time, and Dave's from England. So tell us a little bit about this sound, because it does have a British vibe to me. That's just my opinion. Like, don't take that for anything.
No, it's a valid point. It's we've always been influenced by English bands, and with having Dave in the band, who is English, it kind of locks that in. But, we loved all those bands in the original 60s era from England. And then, of course, once the punk era kicked in, loved the Sex Pistols and the Buzzcocks and the Clash and the Damned and all those guys. So, that's always been an English influence with the Furies.
And I think there's something so cool about it, because I think we talk about punk, people think it's just like it's like the blues, right? 3 chords, like boom, boom, but it's more than that. And when you listen to your music and this album too, The Furies again. See, now I'm going to lose my accent completely, but you know what I'm talking about, Dave, right? Is it again or again? Which one is it?
Oh, I go for again.
Again. See, I say again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, when Dave presented the idea for titling the album, because we were throwing ideas around, and he did say again that moment in his studio. So
see, it's a game for the win.
It can work either way.
Game
for the win.
It's a game. But okay, so it because you guys you're like the Furies are like we're going no matter what. Is that where it comes from? Like we're still going. We're still rocking.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
When he came up with that title, when Dave came up with that title, I was like, oh, perfect, because it sums it up. Even though it's just one word, it sums it up. We're still going. The Furies again. You can't deny it.
Well, I think we've also got to this point of we're going backwards in music. And I'm not saying you're backwards in music. I mean back in time, and we're going back to what makes us feel good. And I'm sorry, but they keep calling the 80s the classics and the 70s. I'm no, I want to still feel like I'm in my 20s. But I think there's a sound with the Furies that we want now.
My son, my son and my daughter are both in their 20s, and they just love that era of music. They just love it. And my daughter, ex-boyfriend, was in a band, and I used to go see them a couple times. And all the bands on the bill always kind of sounded like, the 70s punk bands. And as you said, punk isn't necessarily na-na-na-na-na, but it's also an attitude,
Yeah.
You kick the garage door open to the rest of the world with music that's revolutionary, kind of,
Yeah, I agree. Dave, how did you meet Jeff?
One of my friends was drumming with the Furies, maybe 5 years ago, and they needed a bass player, so they asked me to dap a couple of gigs and things, which I did, and Jeff and I just got on really, really well, and then by sort of mistake, we actually discovered we can write songs together really well. And neither of us are particularly precious about the bits we write, which is really good, actually, because you can go, I'm not sure about that bit or whatever. And Jeff does the same on the music bits with me. And we just clicked. And we took it from there. And I've got a little studio at home. And we just started recording things and refined it and came up with the album.
Well, I think it's really brilliant because of your bass playing. I mean, listening to the album and the bass, to me, is like the foundation part, and it goes, what's beautiful about the music, and that's where I was going even with the punk and the new wave side of it, is it's not over-cluttered, yet there's all these wonderful nuances in there, right? But it's not over-cluttered, and that's the beauty of it. And I think it always comes from the bass leading that foundation. Like the bass, every drummer will like me or hate me for saying that, but it's true. And singer, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? The bass kind of like ties everyone together, but your bass is very prominent throughout the entire album.
Thank you. Well, I am a bass player, and I mixed it, so unless somebody tells me to turn it down, it's going to be up there. But once you lock into a groove with the drums, if your drums and bass are together, the rest of it you can get away with a whole slew of things. I generally, when I write the music and present it to Jeff, it's not necessarily a finished product, and bits get changed and moved and deleted or added to. Because I can play guitar, which I've played the guitar on the album, if I was painting a picture, it would end up jet black, because I do all these little counter melodies on different guitars. Then when Jeff puts vocals on, a huge chunk of it is me stripping away guitar bits and just leaving the bits that are needed, little counter melodies that come in and out, just to make it interesting to listen to, because I love punk things, but I veer more towards the Damned and things like that, that are really catchy pop songs that are basically punk songs, but they're just not a straightforward thrash. You've actually got something that you can listen to. And I think Jeff and mine opinion really is, if we can write something you can hum and dance to, and we like it, and you like it, great, done. Doesn't need to be overly complicated, but enough to keep you interested.
Yeah, you have chew to the album, like I would say. Like you can chew it. Like you can chew on it. It's yeah. I mean, I don't know how to say it any better than that. You can chew on it. Like you're in it, and if you're not going to chew, you're not eating the meal,
That's a great analogy.
For you.
Yeah, that's different.
Exactly.
I don't know where that came from, but it's there. But Jeff, this is good because, I'm looking at this and go, in the press release, thank you, Billy, by the way, the Furies are responsible for this racket. Jeff Wolfe, lead harmony, background vocals, yelling. Dave Lewty, bass, guitar, keyboards, and vocal noises. Like, okay, I'm glad it's coming from the vocals, Dave.
Yeah, my vocals are way down in the mix. If you listen to my vocals on their own, it sounds like somebody's drowning a sack full of Muppets. So my vocals are generally quite low. So it sounds like somebody torturing a cat. But they sneak in there every so often.
But okay, so now I want to go back to Jeff on this from the beginning of the Furies to now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go back to the
Yeah.
70s to now. Have we repeated ourselves, like, in regards to what's going on in the world? Because you think about punk and music and how it's always kind of reflected what's going on. Do you feel like you're in the same position as when you first started?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, there's it's the whole idea is it's back then there was revolution in the air, and now there is too. People want to hear songs that are not only well crafted and melodic and catchy and fun, but I think I certainly do. I want to hear some reflection on the times, And
so, yeah, because you have some, action reaction. Even Glitter Bomb, in a way, has some vibe to me in that.
Yeah, you're right.
It has some of that to me, like, because I wonder about now, even people on the dating sphere, like, how are we, like, doing that? I don't know about that anymore.
I have no clue. I have absolutely no
how
idea.
Do people, like, do you sit down and answer a questionnaire? Like, do you believe, are you voting this way? Do you care about this? Like, are you know what I mean? How do you do it anymore? It's different.
It's bizarre. And with all of us, most of us anyway, now have that machine in between us, the computer, so that you can't just sit down and have a cup of coffee. You have to talk on the computer to figure the stuff out, and on it goes.
So when you date someone, you bring them over, and then you have to go, Alexa. Oh no, she'll talk. I have to be careful where we are. She will talk. Like, what is this? And then they'll be like, no, you're wrong. Yeah.
It's like you have to fill out an application to go on a date with somebody. Name, date, birth date, interest. It's like, geez, in the old days, everything was organic.
Yeah.
But times have changed, unfortunately.
I feel like that's where music brings us back to the foundation of life. Like, can we just go back to... Yeah. Because when you listen to music, you're really into it. You could be sweeping the floor, you could be driving, you could be doing whatever, but if a song has swept you away, like, screw all the other stuff,
Mm-hmm. It makes you feel, it's freedom. It makes you feel free. You hear a song that touches you, regardless of what's going on. And in fact, thank God for music during the pandemic, because there wasn't anything else to do. There was just, lockdown actually, but you put on a song you love, and no matter how many times you've heard it, there's certain songs, just no matter how many times you've heard it, it takes you to that wonderful, wonderful place that you just, whatever emotion it involves, whether it's love or anger or pride or, it's all there in music.
Yeah. I wonder how many people were dancing around like Risky Business style, during the pandemic in their underwear because, like, you're locked in. Can't go outside. You can't do this. Can't do that. How many people were dancing in their house in their underwear with their dogs and cats? I'm just saying.
I mean, we were in the lockdown. Dave and I were writing songs. Remotely. He'd send me a track, and then I'd sing over it on my iPhone, and then I'd send him that so we could still keep going. Crazy.
Wow. See, technology.
Things are better
good.
now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, so are you guys going to be out on the road and performing with the album? Because it's out now, right? Everyone can get the album.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're going to shoot a video for New Wave Girl first, and then start playing some dates. It's been 2 years since we played live. It's terrible. I mean, that's the aspect of being in a band.
You both need
that's
a
my
spanking
favorite.
for that.
Yeah. I that's my favorite aspect of being in a band is going out and playing gigs. That's just my all-time favorite. Recording is fun. Writing is fun. Everything else is, talking to you on the show is fun. But playing live is the real thing. That's what you
Did
do.
it change? Did it change it for you guys doing the like doing so many interviews with musicians lately? It's you guys. Everybody's been writing, and it's. I think we've done more musician interviews than we've ever done over the last couple years because at first it was like a big shock. Everyone starts doing live streams, and then it's like, oh crap, let's write. We're feeling this. We're doing that, right? And so more music has been produced in the last couple of years than, I swear, ever. And that's what it feels like.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and recording, the process has been different for everybody depending on their situation or if they're local or not, all of that. But I wonder now, like, okay, now we're going to go live. Like, is it different for you guys with your music and how you recorded to going live? Like you think about someone like ABBA, right, as a band now coming up with an album and going out on stage. And I know they have a gazillion musicians and everyone backing them up and all this technical stuff because they're so technical with everything they do, not knocking it.
Right.
Saying it's, cool. But do you think it's going to be different, the way things have been recorded? And for you guys, going out?
It will. But the thing, the way it's recorded, we wanted to do the best recorded version that we could do, which is what the album is. Live, we know it's going to be different. Even if we had another guitar player and a keyboard player and etc., we're still going to play it slightly different live. We're not going to change the basic chorus and the verses and things, but they always sound a bit different live, and I like that, to be honest. If I want to see a band live, I want to see them do live versions of the songs. If they're going to do it note for note from the CD, I might just stay at home and turn it up loud because it'll sound better at home. So there's always going to be changes and things. And, you pace songs differently for an audience as well because there's highs and lows, concerts speed up, slow down, people jump up and down, then you have bits of a rest or breakdown bits in songs. So all the songs are structured that we can move bits around and see what works live. The best, really.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, to me, the best is always seeing the band live. Period. Like that's it. But and the album is like your takeaway. And if you can't, like for us, like we're across the country from you guys right now, doesn't mean we won't see you live at some point. But like that's what we can get. So I want it. You know what I mean? I want it now.
Yeah.
So it's cool. But it is like it's so interesting about recording and creating a song and like what happens with what it goes like taking that song and making it live, with production but you guys have songs that you can. I just feel like it's so natural what you have created. It's just so natural to just.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Record.
Yeah, it definitely is a natural process.
Yeah.
And we're going to have great musicians on.
It's not overproduced. That's what I'm saying.
No, I agree. It's produced because there are some little subtle parts in it that won't necessarily be in the live show. But
it's those vocal noises and yellings. I'm just saying.
The yelling will be there.
Oh yeah.
We always want yelling.
We've got some great players lined up, so it's going to sound really, really good live.
I can't wait. Let's play New Wave Girl. Do you want to give us some background story to New Wave Girl? Is she still there? She's there. I think she's still there.
Oh, sure. Well, actually, the girl on the sleeve of the record is my wife.
She's still there.
Yeah, she's still here. In fact, she's down at the gym right now. She was a waitress at Madame Wong's. Lori is her name, Lori Crutchfield. She was a waitress at Madame Wong's, and so virtually everybody that played that place knew her. And so she was kind of the template for the song. In that, those great memories of how everybody looked back then. You had girls that were kind of mod, and you'd have girls that were kind of rockabilly or punk or whatever. And it was just a great time for fashion and everything else. And that's kind of what the song's about,
So you wrote the lyrics, and then Dave put the music behind? I'm trying to get the balance of...
It's nearly always the other way around, actually.
Yeah,
Jeff has a
creates
big
the track
full of lyrics, and I will record backing tracks, none of which I'm precious about, play them to Jeff, And quite often it'll go, oh, that verse from that thing is great, but can we have that chorus from there? And then we cut and paste. Jeff will sing over it. We'll lose bits. We'll add bits. And then when we've got the structure correct, I'll generally re-record the whole backing track so it flows together. Then Jeff will come in and sing it.
Ah.
So
wow.
There's a whole slew of tracks that we've got as backup that we haven't used or waiting for lyrics and things.
So what you're saying is there'll be an again part 2.
Oh yeah,
and
we've
again.
already got it
honest,
recorded. Go ahead, Dave.
We've already got as many songs again recorded, that we didn't put on this.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, we've got, I don't know how many, we've got at least another 25 Furies songs, but then there's probably another 20 or so that are in other genres. We've written a trilogy about a character that we created called Jake that lives in the Old West. We've written a trilogy about that that's in, country, like a 40s country western kind of vibe, except
like spaghetti western.
Got Jeff yodeling on it.
Yeah,
pedal steel.
Spaghetti. Yeah, it's totally different. We've got a couple that are kind of strange Tom Waitsy kind of jazz motif kind of things.
Cool.
We got all kinds of weird stuff.
Okay, wait. You guys really had fun during the pandemic, basically.
Oh yeah, we were very, very busy during the pandemic. Once we got out and about, and we recorded just tons and tons of songs.
So this Jake thing, I cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Terror of Tiny
funny.
Town?
Oh, a long time ago. Yeah.
You have seen it?
No.
Oh my God! You were the first people I know that have actually said yes, I've seen it. Like seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it like 25 years ago, but yeah, I remember it. Sure.
I mean, everyone,
Crazy.
if you look at that,
I'm
The
amazing
Terror of Tiny Town is really the little people of the Wizard of Oz have their own westerns in black and white, and they sing and just watch it. It's pretty funny and interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever I say, I'm going to get in trouble for, but it is really, everyone should watch it once. You can YouTube it. You can do
I'm
whatever.
amazed you know about that. Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, I remember very well.
If you met us in person, you would not. We're not little people, trust me. But it's just one of those things that everyone should watch once in their life. It's fun. But anyway, let's play New Wave Girl. So, and this is going to be your video. This is going to be the next video coming.
We're going to do a video for this song. Yes.
Okay, so here it is, everybody. New Wave Girl. Take a listen. And again, the album is The Furies Again, and you can go to thefuriesband.com to go get the album. So check it out. Here it is, New Wave Girl. to Big Blend Radio, and that was New Wave Girl, and is on the new album by The Furies, and it's called The Furies again. We've got Jeff Wolfe and also Dave Lewty on the show with us, and they put the album together during the pandemic, and it's out now, so go get it, thefuriesband.com. And Jeff, give us a little background on The Furies. We need to go back. I know you were on the show a few years ago, and I think that was before we were back on the road again, back when we were in Tucson. But give us a little background on even the name, The Furies.
The Furies were the Greek goddesses goddesses of vengeance. And I always wanted to use that reference in a song. Or so when we were trying to come up with names for the group, I thought that that would work. They also exist in Roman mythology, too, because a lot of Roman mythology is adopted from Greek mythology. So yeah, and again, because it was the punk era, vengeance was a perfect theme. I realize this is a little obscure, but so that's where I came up with the name. And then, in the mid-'70s, music in America, it's better in England, but in America, pop music was just awful. We had singer-songwriters and, just crap. And so I had a friend from high school that, we started writing songs years earlier, and we said, well, we need to do something about this. So we formed the Furies and started playing dates. And in that era, the punk era, there were you wouldn't just go and play a bunch of clubs. There were like strange off-the-wall venues. Some kid would say, hey, can you come play my parents' rec room for a party? Sure. $75 or whatever. Or we played a couple of movie theaters, and we played people's rehearsal spaces and industrial spots. And it was just crazy, but it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And of course we also played local venues. We played the Whiskey and the Cuckoo's Nest in Orange County and the Starwood and Hollywood, and so we were very, very busy in the late '70s.
And then I always talk about the '80s being punk because that's just my personal era of time, like going from Kenya as a kid. And I mean, I think I was like 10 or 11 in England in the beginning of the '80s. And not even, no, I was even younger. And it was the punk era. Like, everybody had like piercings and mohawks, and I did that to myself later. And, my aunt gave me one of those doll heads that you're supposed to put makeup on, and then I made it into a punk, and she freaked out. Nancy, my mom, Nancy told her, don't give her a doll head. That's not going to happen. Don't do it. She came from the bush in Africa, living with 2 tribes, and when I got to England, I mean, what was walking around was no different than what was happening in tribal Africa at that point.
Awesome.
It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm like,
so cool.
hello, this is cool. I feel at home. But like the Clash and, like the Pretenders, and it was when you think about punk music, it is like such a gamut. You can't really say this is punk. It's about the message almost. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like, yeah. I mean, it's really hard.
The attitude, too. It's the message and the attitude. You want to change things. You don't want everything to be sterile and staid, and you want it to move forward, and you want it to have a positive attitude, but you also want to be mad about the stuff that you should be mad about,
Yeah.
Your tribal analogy is perfect. It's just perfect. It was a tribe.
It really was.
The punk crowd.
Nancy always says to me, like, that is the same thing about the tribe, and then she's always saying, like, it's the end of the 70s was when shit happened. You know what I mean? Like, that was, that, musically. She's not on the show because technical stuff, like, her computer died, so she can't be here. And we don't even have Wi-Fi, like, not Wi-Fi, like, cell phone reception where we are right now. So, anyway, otherwise she'd be on the show. But, like, she would sit there and say, like, no, this is earlier than, this happened in music at this time. It's not just the 80s. It really started in the 70s. The itch started then.
It's true. The first Fury single came out in '77. And we just thought, well, no record label's going to sign us, so we'll just put out our own record. And I found a place that made records.
Awesome,
and I found I found a place that was a print shop that made these 7-inch square envelopes but had a flap on them. So we had them print the front and the back sleeve, and then we had to sit there and cut off that flap for the first 500 copies.
God.
And then we put them in the back seat of my car and just drove to record stores and sold them. You know, just like that here.
Wow.
You know, you can sell this for 75 cents. We'll charge you 50, so you get a 50% profit, and yet. And it's sold out quickly, and we got on the radio. And you know, the first job we played was at the Surf Theater in Huntington Beach. It was a movie theater, and some kid rented it out for the night, and we played at this movie theater, and it was just, and these kids, you know, we came out, we had short hair and skinny ties and straight pants and all that crap, and this surfer kid, I remember he looking at me, and it wasn't hostile, it was just like confused. He goes, "Why are you guys wearing ties?"
Yeah.
And of course that changed everything, you know, that look and that sound changed everything.
Yeah, but if you think about, like, surf music, like, it actually goes even back to some, like, classical stuff. It goes back to some old, like, even old Bo Diddley. There is some.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, it goes back to the bass, I think. It does. It goes back to the bass. Some of that, like, that it is I think it's the undercurrent. That's why surf music always had that. It's the undercurrent, and that's what the bass is. When you say, like,
it's back to any good music. Funk music is exactly the same. Bass and drums. Once they lock into that loop and get everybody dancing, you can put whatever you want on top of it. And a lot of the punk is like that as well. If you listen to it, the bass and drums are always, well, nearly always really tight. It's the glue that holds it all together.
So,
without
Dave,
a great bass player, you got nothing.
Yeah, no, you're screwed. You can't do it on your keyboard. Stop it. Anybody thinks that? No, it doesn't work.
No.
You have to have a good bass player. You have to have a good drummer and a good vocalist. Guitarists can come in and out. Anything can come in and out, but if you have those three things, you've got it. Honestly.
Yep.
Like, you know, and a good guitarist helps, or a good keyboardist helps, but honestly, those are the three things. You can't screw with it. But Dave, you know, we're talking about the 70s, late 70s. What was going on for you, and were you in England at that point?
I was, yeah. I mean, I grew up listening to all sorts of stuff from, you know, in the late 60s and things, obviously the Beatles and things. And then I switched over heavily into progressive rock, bands like Yes. But I also really liked things like Captain Beefheart, Trout Mask Replica and things. And then I can remember really clearly in 1976, I bought the Damn's album the day it came out, which had a picture of Eddie and the Hot Rods on the back by mistake. Put it on and played it when I got home, and I just went, oh, yeah, that's for me. And I just changed tack entirely. And I just loved the punk things, and saw very early Buzzcocks and Pistols, and a lot of it was home done. The bands had just started their own record labels and everything. So around about 77, I started playing in bands, and then joined a band called the Cheetahs, who were heavily, they weren't really punk, more Dr. Feelgood with a punky edge. And we just went out and did loads of gigs. One year we did 325 gigs.
Jesus.
I don't think we ever did less than 250 gigs. I was always into music. The punk thing was just like, oh, that's me. There's just something about it that, but it's the attitude, like Jeff was saying. It's less about the music and the attitude, which is we're doing this music, we really like it. I hope you like it, and if you don't like it, you know what? Don't listen to it. Not our problem.
I think punk and the blues have like this. I know they're opposite, but they're not. Like I think they're the same in that way of it's what people need and want at a specific time, and probably throughout.
Yeah.
You know, they need to feel something. It's about feeling and getting over what's going on in the country or the world, and you know, it's just like it's feeling stuff. You know, we can't listen to a love song every day. You know, and punk does cover that, and so does the blues, right? But like, can we just like, damn it, we have to say. I'm trying to watch my language, but you know. You have to have that release of what's going on, you know. So the punk music to me is always been like, think about like the Buzzcocks and then you've got like the Clash. The Clash come out and really like nail it about what's going on in the world. We look at climate change, and the Clash they were raising hell years ago about what was going on in the world, and doing it with some jazz even in there. They really, and people just like, oh no, there's more to punk than 3 chords. Just saying. It's way more. Yeah, and you guys prove it too.
I mean, at the beginning of this whole thing, with the New York bands, they were all punk bands, but you had Talking Heads, which were like art rock.
Yeah.
You had Mick DeVille, which is rhythm and blues, and then you had the Ramones, and yet they were all punk bands. And it was the same. It's the same out here in L.A. at the same time. You had differences, various genres, but they still were umbrellaed under punk. Which
I
good.
never thought about with a Talking Heads being like that, but you're right. Like, it's like, hello, people. Bands. It was like the wake-up call, the siren call to what's going on.
None of them sounded like Journey or James Taylor, and that was the whole point.
Don't start.
None of us.
Do not start me on that.
None of us sounded like that, and that was why we were there.
I don't. No, because there's a thing where something shifted, and Nancy said, like, okay, it's like basically when the Doors went out, shit went down. Like the Doors were like the last thing that called it, right? And then
very good way
from
to put
there, then here it is. Somebody needed to fill the shoes of the Doors, basically.
Yeah.
And that's really what happened, because then we had disco. How did you guys feel about disco?
Yeah, hated it.
It was never my favorite.
She just lost it behind me. She said, I don't know if you guys heard that, but it wasn't polite. No disco for you guys?
That's okay. I saw the Doors when I was 14.
You did? I'm jealous.
Yeah, I did.
I have to say, I'm jealous.
It was $1.50. It was a teenage matinee show.
A teenage
matinee
show, the Doors. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, in Anaheim. It was $1.50 to get in.
No.
And it was the Doors. It was the Doors, Jefferson Airplane, and the Merry-Go-Round.
No. Are you kidding me?
Teenage matinee show. Yeah.
How did you behave at a teenage matinee show? Like, was it a sound check basically, or like did they do it?
No, you got there at whenever time the thing started, and it was a regular rock show or whatever you'd call it, and you'd see these 3 bands play.
Oh.
It was
Did
amazing.
You like it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, damn it, Dave. If
I remember correctly, that was the first rock show I ever saw.
Oh man, are you? I'm a little jealous. You know I'm swearing at you right now. Dave, do you remember your beginnings, like of rock shows?
Yeah, I do actually, which would be about 72, 73, seeing really early versions of people like Queen and Bachman Turner Overdrive with Thin Lizzy as support.
Thin Lizzy? Really?
Well, they were opening for Bachman Turner Overdrive when they were a 3-piece.
Really? Thin Lizzy opening for Bachman Turner Overdrive. Are you kidding me? Nancy's yelling at the background. No, that's funny. I'm sorry, but that's funny.
I've got one. I mean, I saw The Who with Keith Moon, which was great.
Oh.
And I've got one gig that I'm a complete idiot that I didn't go to. There's there's 2 gigs that happened in Manchester with the Sex Pistols that is credited with starting most of the punk. Sex Pistols played the Lesser Free Trade Hall, which was a small venue above this big theatre where you normally saw most of the bands. And then they came back a couple of months later. The Buzzcocks had seen them the first time, and they played their first gig with the Pistols and a few other bands. And that room probably held about 200 people. And if you speak to people, it seems like 30,000 people went to it. I actually went to that gig, met my friend outside before we went in, and decided to go to the pub instead.
Oh, Jesus.
So I never actually saw him at that gig. I'm so close but so far away.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
Oops.
I hope you had a good time.
Can't remember, so I must have done.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But listen, you guys have had like epic, like first timers music experiences that I think, you know, my generation, which I was born in 74, I'm totally jealous. I'm just saying. I'm totally jealous because, you know, it's like you look up to those guys, you know, heroes and gals, you know, there's awesome women in music, you know, and, you know, you just, you go back to them as like, and then people go, oh, well, these people are copying this and that. I'm like, no, they're carrying the torch. We have to carry the torch.
Right. Absolutely. And all the influencer bands. Yeah. You know, you listen to from the '60s. You listen to the Beatles or the Stones, or the Byrds, or whoever, and they all had their roots too. You know, so it's like it is what it is. You have your roots, and your roots reflect what you're doing.
Oh, I like how you say that, Dave. Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everything's a reflection of what you've grown up with, I think, somewhere down the line.
Yep.
I like that.
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It means you're keeping it alive. You're keeping the influence alive. That's important.
I agree. And I think also listening to what's happening now new is also cool, you know. I think, you know, it was just like, I mean, a few years back, people are like, oh, music is shite, you know. There's nothing good. And I'm like, there is so much good music, especially
you just got to look
pandemic.
for it. Oh, yeah.
It's
you just
there.
got to know where to look for it. That's all.
It is there. I mean, Nancy and I were talking about that before we started recording, and I'm like, you know, we are so lucky. Like, when we drive across the country, we travel full time, and you were talking about like a song that's overplayed. Hotel California is probably the most played song on the radio ever. And I can tell you it is, because as we travel, that is the one song you're guaranteed to hear during the day, over and over. It's to the point where you hate it, and you don't want to heat it. And the other day, I had to run into the tiny town of where we are. I have to say tiny town, where we are in Pennsylvania. And I drove in, and listen, there's only one station you're going to hear without static. And here it comes, Hotel California. And I forced myself, after all these years of being on the road, I just said, you know what, you need to just listen and sink into it. Remember playing this on your guitar, you know, as a kid, learning guitar, sink into it. And I did. I did it. I told Nancy, I was like, dude, I did this. I sunk into it. And it's really a damn good song. I know it's always been a good song, but I've hated it for so many years because it's overplayed. Yeah. How do we change the radio situation? Because I can tell when we change county lines, the playlist plays again. How do we change that, do you think, as musicians? Do you want it to change? Do you want terrestrial radio to stop playing the top 10? It's like they're buying the playlist or something, but as travelers, it's horrible.
Well, corporate America
has taken over radio.
Stations are all automated anyway, and they're all owned by one parent company, and it's all dictated what they want, what they have to play, and a lot of it are algorithms from record labels as to what's played. Independent radio is the way to go. Whatever's left is there. Really.
Yeah.
And you get variety as well. And it's particularly in the States, you get a whole station of nothing but the Eagles, or nothing but Led Zeppelin, or nothing but the Beatles. It's fine, but at some point that's going to wear a bit thin. In England, when I was a kid, the few radio stations there were, they played bits of everything. So you'd have the Pretenders with maybe the Pistols next, and then it'd be a disco song or whatever's in the charts and something else. And they might put a Buzzcock song on or somebody you've never heard of. And it was just much more interesting. You were never quite sure what was going to be on next. But it just broadens your horizons.
Yeah, it used to be that way. When I was a kid, I used to listen to the radio and record it. You know?
Yeah, on a cassette.
Yeah. Because it was like, record. Remember back in the day when you could do that, and then you'd stitch it to get, you'd make. I mean, I had my own little station going, and now look, but
and you're praying that the DJ doesn't talk all over the intro when you're trying to record it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you knew
that's
the
magic.
station to not go to, like, screw you, shut up. And you'd be like, oh, like, shut up. This is my favorite part. But they would. And it's worse if they sing over it. That is the worst.
Oh.
That is the worst.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They start
That's what
singing.
off switches are for, though.
I know, but we have to change the way radio is. Like, we have got to have independent sources to listen to playlists. I know there's Spotify playlists. Musicians don't make that much money off of that. Everybody, sorry. I mean, we make playlists too, but we have got to change how it is happening for musicians through radio. It's not working. It sucks.
No, it's
for
not.
The listener.
I used to get a quarterly check from BMI for royalties or Say Goodbye to Black Sheep, and it didn't have a lot of money, but it was enough to pay some bills or whatever. And then once BMI sold out to corporate radio, those checks just disappeared.
Right.
They just
exactly.
disappeared.
It's like here's the playlist. They buy a playlist. Period. It's the same playlist. I mean, I'm talking about. I do pretty much like 24-hour drives, like big drives across country. Like we traveled the country 4 times this year across country, and you can hear it. You can hear it from one state to the other. It's not just county lines. It's like somebody went and sold these stations from this place to here, and you're hearing it. And so it's really horrible for the person traveling. So I'm just saying, I know there's new things. I'm just saying.
For melodic radio music, it's just not on the radio.
Yeah, and then suddenly you'll hit a place, and it's usually university towns that will have it through public radio, where you'll start to hear local music or some other specialty program, and you'll hear something you've never heard before, and you're like, yes, so exciting.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
And when
we
you
have
do,
a college station here in the valley called KCSN 88.5, and it's from the Cal State Northridge campus.
Oh, okay.
And their channel is wonderful because the DJ makes the playlists. He talks about the song and the recording, and it's just a variety of new and old music. And I've heard so many great new acts on there that I would have never heard otherwise. And that's what radio used to be.
Yeah.
You get it. There was an independent aspect to it that doesn't exist anymore. At least on mainstream radio.
The B-side.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. The B-side it's all about the B-side. To me, was what the B-side was always what the musicians were like to me as a listener. I always thought the B-side was what the musicians wanted us to hear, and the A-side was what the corporate people wanted us to hear. That's how I always looked at it. You know. Now, who knows? But, I mean, it's independent now, which is also really, really damn cool. Harder for you guys, but good for us in a way, as long as we keep seeking you out, So we've got to also do our due diligence as listeners.
Keep seeking us out. That's the key.
Right on, right on.
Dave and I have been doing this for decades. We've been doing it for decades. It's what we do. Financial remuneration or not, it's what we do. It's how you define yourself. And you can't stop,
No,
once
it gets in your blood, it's there. You're doing it.
It is. It is exactly.
Yeah,
you can't
crabby
change it.
And
why would you want to?
Like Dave, do you get crabby?
Oh my God!
Don't make vocal noises.
A lot of vocal noises on there, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get vocal noises. You could get other noises. You never know. You never know what could happen. But listen, we're going to close with Afraid. It's been so cool chatting with you both. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for the music.
Thank
you
so
for
much.
joining us.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be on your show. Wonderful.
Listen,
very
we're
much
going to play.
appreciated.
Oh, awesome, you guys. Please keep. I know you've got a lot more material, so please join us again. And we want the Western. We totally want to know about the Western
the Jake trilogy.
series.
Yeah, we're gonna
Seriously.
finish up the
West Coast.
Yeah,
And everybody,
we'll finish
if
up
you
the
have
Jake
not
trilogy
watched,
and surprise everybody.
if folks have not watched Terror of Tiny Town, you're missing out. Everybody needs to watch Terror of Tiny Town. I'm just saying. But listen, we're going to close with the song "Afraid." It's the last song of the album, and I call it the "Beam It Up" song. Are we being up in that? Tell us a little bit about that before we close.
Dave?
Go on, Jeff.
Dave, did you write
Dave
this?
had this track that he wrote the music, yeah. He had this track he played for me, and then he had "I'm Afraid" in his scary noise voice. And so I took the track.
That's my scary voice, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yes, it was.
I forgot about that, actually. Yeah. When I do demos for Jeff, I'll occasionally have an idea for a lyric or something. And I just did a really quiet voice under the track that just went, "I'm afraid." And it was just in and out. And I played it Jeff, and he went,
distortion.
Oh, hang on. And then he built all the rest of the lyrics around it.
Yep.
Huh.
And it came out great. It's I was reflecting on the BLM movement on that song.
Oh, okay. So tell us about that. Uh-oh.
Well, I was just terrified. I was terrified as to how I was afraid, in fact, as to how the police were treating our fellow citizens. So I based the lyrics on that.
Yeah.
You know, I've had my own run-ins with the cops, and it's never a pleasant experience.
I don't ever like to see those little red, white, and blue
My
thingies
God.
in the. No. I don't want any of that there. But
I just
so
besides
Dave,
the music, it's just the music is really scary, and I just thought of skies on fire and people trying to make it right in terms of their freedom and that kind of stuff. So that's where it came from for me.
It's, I think, it's very important because at the same time people are scared to stand up for something they believe in. It's a scary thing.
It's true.
It shakes community. It shakes family. It shakes loved ones. It shakes so many things. And right now it is a shaky, scary time. And so I think people identify with that, and it's a beautiful song. And the Beam Up is, I think there's also this whole thing with space, going up in space. Like that's where we're going to go. And we're not going to clean up our planet. We're just going to beam up, Yeah,
no. Heaven is in your mind, I mean, when I heard that track, I was just, of course, I'm always blown away by Dave's stuff, but it's just like, wow.
I think
really
Dave
powerful.
heard things in his head. He has voices in his head, Dave.
Knowing him as I do, that's entirely feasible.
It's going back to Glitter Bomb, actually, a head full of lit fuses, which basically means there's so many ideas going off your head at the same time. That's me.
That's Dave.
I understand
and
that.
the bit you're referring to in Afraid that's going up it's a musical illusion. It just sounds like the note is permanently going up in pitch. It's not. It's going round in a circle. So it starts to drop back down again, but you don't hear that. So it sounds like that note in Afraid at the end is just permanently going up in pitch. If you listen to it carefully, it's not.
Well, isn't that true about sound? That a lot of times it is circular versus up and down, but we always hear it up and down in our human brain. It's circular. I mean, circular breathing.
Yeah, that illusion works, yeah.
Wow. Well, you guys are trippy dudes. Thank you. All right.
We are trippy dudes, aren't we, Dave?
We're gonna,
especially on the stuff that's non-furious,
Yeah.
Oh, my
All right.
God.
So, everybody, thefuriesband.com. That's FURYS.com. Band.com. Sorry, thefuriesband.com. And we're going to play Afraid, and you can beam up or go beam circularly. Can I say that? Did I say that right? You can do a circular beam up, no matter what you want to do.
Yeah, you're setting it down right now.
Yeah, just beam up. It's all good. But here it is, Afraid. Thanks all for joining us. You guys take care, and we can't wait for the next time. Here it is, Afraid.
Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks.
got no remedy. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to hide in their faces. I'm afraid. It's not safe at night.